Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So yes, in the previous class, we saw the meaning of this first verse of Upadesamrita. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jivva vegam udaropastha vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha sarvam api mam prithivim sasishya. So a person who controls or who tolerates all these six urges, six types of urges, he is qualified. Rupa Goswami is telling he is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Sarvam api mam prithivim sasishya. So why is telling about making disciples? Why is immediately starting Upadeshamrita with the qualifications of a spiritual master, or describing the qualifications of a guru? Because without taking shelter of a guru, we cannot start our bhakti process. So that's why the very first step in advancing in spiritual life is what? First of all, to take shelter of bona fide spiritual master. And in order to advance in spiritual life, we have to take the shelter of bona fide spiritual master. We need to know the qualifications of the spiritual master. Otherwise, you will surrender to some bogus guru. Yes, there are so many bogus gurus who are in the disguise of this sadhu attire, and they give blessings, so-called blessings. Okay, take blessings of mine, and then you will be purified like that. But Rupa Goswami is clearly mentioned, one who has tolerated these six urges, he is only qualified to make disciples. Now, Prabhupada in the purport, he is before describing or before elaborating on the urges of the senses. So he speaks about he quotes Parikshit Maharaj's statement in 6th canto of Bhagavatam, and he quotes the statement of Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is asking question to Shukadeva Goswami that what is the use of such atonement if the person cannot control his senses? It's useless. Yes. Because a person whose senses are not controlled, after that he may regret. After that he may do some atonement. Okay, he may do some atonement in order to purify. Okay, in order to eradicate the sins he has performed. But what is the use? Because after cleansing or after doing some purificatory process, he will again come back to, because his senses are not purified, his senses are not controlled. So again he will commit those sins. So he is comparing with the Kunjara Sauchavat. He is comparing this type of atonement as the elephant's bathing. Elephant he takes bath, and then after coming from the river, he will again put over all the mud over his body. This is useless now. So that sinful desire has not gone yet. That's why again and again that sinful desire is coming, and then he's doing atonement, and again after performing atonement he's committing sinful things. So Prabhupada also mentions, he also gives so many other analogies, like for example, he gives analogy of Christians who go to the church every Saturday, and they ask for they repent in the church. Then they do atonement. Then again, from the Sunday, they again commit sinful activities. What is the use? Because the senses are not controlled. So again, they commit atonement. Again, they do sinful activities. So Prabhupada is telling that the real atonement is what? Real atonement is coming to real knowledge. And real knowledge is what? Doing bhakti process. Real knowledge is understanding our constitutional position. That is we have to come to that process, come to the bhakti process by controlling our senses. Okay. So what is the process? So Prabhupada is telling, in this Kali Yuga, this mystic yoga process, this Ashtanga yoga process is not possible. And that's why all these austerities, they can be all surpassed if you perform two things. If you perform two things, do's and don'ts. So you take association with devotees, and then what is that? So what is the prescription? Prabhupada is giving this prescription. Associating with devotees, the very first prescription. Second is what? Engaging in the Lord's service under the direction of the bona fide Guru. These are the two do's we have to do. And if you do these prescriptions, then you can surpass all this tapasya, which involves celibacy, cleanliness, and yogasanas. We can surpass these practices. If we perform this, if we perform this do's and don'ts. And what are the don'ts? Prohibiting from these activities. No illicit sex, no meat eating, no intoxication, and no gambling. So if we follow these prescriptions and prohibitions, then we can surpass the very difficult yoga practices which are there in the mystic yoga process. Okay. Now we will proceed further. So Prabhupada is now elaborating on the 6 urges. So Prabhupada starts with Vacho Vegam. The very first Vega is what? The urge of speech. Okay, Vacho Vegam. So if we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada is telling, if we don't speak about Krishna consciousness, then we speak all sorts of nonsense. We do prajalpa. We talk about worldly topics. We discuss worldly topics. Silly about sleeping, how we can increase our arrangements of sleeping, eating, mating different. We will speak all sorts of nonsense if we don't speak about Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is giving an analogy of a toad in field. A toad in field invites snakes by croaking. Yes. And comparable to talking of materialistic men and impersonalist Mayavadis who always speak nonsense and invite death. So he's comparing this type of croaking of toad to invite snake like to materialistic man or karmis and like jnanis. So they speak so much nonsense and they invite death. So no one can escape the death. They are talking, materialistic men are all, they are talking all nonsense. They are doing prajalpa. And impersonalist Mayavadis, they are doing different mental speculations in order to understand, in order to tell that so there is no Krishna, there is no personal form of Krishna. Everything is Maya. And this all form of Krishna is exhibition of Maya only. This form of Krishna, this everything is the is a form of Maya only. Okay, it's the exhibition of Maya. So Lord is under control of Maya, like that. Like that, impersonalist Mayavadis, they tell. So eventually they invite death. Yes. So Prabhupada is comparing this speaking of materialistic man and impersonalist Mayavadis to the croaking of toad. Okay. And death is being compared as snake. Okay. Now there is a very famous like French philosopher Camus. He says, "Don't try to teach me, I may not follow you, and don't try to follow me, I may not able to lead you." So they quote so many jugglery words. They quote actually they make, and they speak all nonsense. There is no much meaning in these statements, but they do all type of prajalpa. So eventually they invite that because they are not speaking about Krishna consciousness, so they will speak all sorts of nonsense. Now, one very interesting point here in this purport, there is some research some person actually did. Why Prabhupada did not use the word frog? He used this word toad, no? He did not use frog is croaking. He has used this word toad. So research say some dictionary, some meaning is there. And there is some difference between frog and toad actually. Frog lives mostly in water actually. According to the research, it is stated that frog lives mostly in water, and toad mostly lives on land. So Srila Prabhupada is using the perfect word. Yes. This materialistic man, this karmis and this jnanis, they are people, so they are staying on the land. And that's why Prabhupada is using this toad instead of using the word frog, because frog is usually he lives in water, but toad they live on land. So Prabhupada is using perfect word. Now this is the urge of speech. Now some people think, okay, so much vega is there. So what I will do, I will remain silent. I will remain silent. So in that way, my urge of speech will be curbed, or I will be able to tolerate it. It does not mean that we have to remain silent, because it will be helpful for some time, but ultimately it proves a failure. Yes. So we should not understand, we should not misunderstand. Okay, now we have to tolerate our speech, that means we have to remain silent, because that will not last for long. Ultimately, because your urge of speech is not tolerated, that's why again, after some time, you will again, your urge of speech will come again and again, because your uh, senses are not controlled. Okay, so that's why that problem will come again and again. So what is the, yes, so there are some examples of this urge of speech. As in the beginning of my presentation, I quoted that there are 3 commentaries on Upadesamrita. So one commentary is written by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he has written commentary on Upadesamrita and called Anuvritti commentary. So Prabhupada is quoting Anuvritti commentary, and he's giving the comments given by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur on this verse of Upadesamrita in his purport. So what I've done is, I have just I have taken all these points of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, which he has mentioned. So Prabhupada is writing, or is starting the Anuvritti commentary after the half of the purport is completed. So half of the purport he is himself commenting, and after that he is quoting Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary. So I have just collected all the points given in the Anuvritti commentary. So Prabhupada is actually giving example of the urge to speak. So very first example, or even Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, he gives about the Gyanis, speculators, or Nirvisheshvadis. They like to talk on things that oppose the principles of God. Yes, so Nirvisheshvadis, they are envious of Krishna's form. They are envious. And Karmi, second example is what? Of Karmis. Karmis and materialist talks unrelated to Krishna's service, but to material enjoyment. They again and again, they the Karmis, they are striving how their material enjoyment can be increased. They are just talking about that. They are doing prajalpa. Prajalpa, or useless talk, is compared to a frog's croaking invites his own death piously, or a toad's croaking. And even not just urge to speak, of course, there are books. Okay, so mundane books that do not describe Lord Krishna's glories are pilgrimage places for crows. So books are what? It's a written form of speech. So that's why books are also examples of the urge to speak. So the books, the mundane books, which do not describe the glories of Lord Krishna, they are compared to the places, pilgrimage places for crows only. Like that is compared in 1st canto, 5th chapter, and 10th verse of Srimad Bhagavad. So Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they are comparing that these mundane books which do not speak about glories of Lord Krishna, they are also examples of the Vacho Vega. And another is what? Mauna, or self-imposed vows of silence, where one expresses desires for enjoyment by writing or simply by thinking in the mind. So it does not mean that we have to just, the urge of speech can go on, the material desire can go on the mental level also, on the mental plane. Or maybe that person may not speak, but he may express his materialistic desires in the form of writing, or maybe he can just contemplate on that. So this is also an example of urge of speech. He is having that urge, and he is expressing that urge in the mind, or maybe in the form of writing. So these are useless. Okay. So Mauna, this self-imposed silence, this is useless. This will not work. Now Prabhupada is telling the real way to control this urge of speech. How we will be able to control the urge of speech? Prabhupada is telling Krishna Katha, to control speech by glorifying Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes, and thus going beyond the clutches of death. So we can control speech not by performing, not by imposing silence, not by self-imposing silence, but the right method to control speech is that we speak about Krishna Katha. If we speak about the pastimes of Lord Krishna, then our speech is in control. Then speech is automatically controlled. We need not to do some extraneous endeavor in order to control our speech. But this is very simple method. We have to glorify about Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. And in this way, one can overcome the clutches of death. Janma, what is that verse? Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sojana. Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita that one who discusses Lord Krishna's pastimes and Lord Krishna's birth, he will tyaktva deham, after leaving this material body, he will never come back to this material body. He will go beyond the clutches of death. But rather, a person who is not speaking Krishna Katha, he will be entangled in these clutches of death. What is the second way to control speech? To write books, to write spiritual books, or to read spiritual books. The spiritual books or words that describe Krishna's name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc. bring about a revolution in misdirected civilization, even if they are imperfectly composed. Prabhupada, Bhagavatam is stating that even if these books, if these words, they describe our Lord Krishna, and even if they are imperfectly composed, even if there are some grammatical mistakes or there are some literary mistakes, then also they will bring about revolution. They will bring about revolution in this misdirected civilization. You see, this is the power of spiritual books, spiritual works. What is the third way to control speech? Krishna Seva. Words about Krishna's service are the fruit of tolerating the urge to speak. So we have to speak the words about Krishna's service. We have to engage in Krishna's service, and we have to talk. We have to hold meetings. How we can nicely serve Krishna, and if we are able to get taste in Krishna's speaking Krishna's pastimes and distaste in material enjoyment, then that means that you are able to control the urge of speech. There are so many great devotees. They have written so many verses. They describe that whenever I think about materialistic desires, whenever I think about this material desires, then I would like to spit on that, because I have developed taste in Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha is higher taste. When a person develops higher taste, then he immediately automatically leaves lower taste. That's why devotees, they develop higher taste of chanting Krishna Katha, and automatically they develop distaste for material enjoyment. So this is the right way to control the urge of speech. Now we will get into the urge of mind. Okay. Manovegam. Yes. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam. Now here, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he actually tells that the anger, the krodha vegam, the urge of anger, it is developed when the mind is not satisfied. The urge of anger is produced from the urge of mind, actually. See, in mind, there can be innumerable desires. Yes, the urge of mind is what? First of all, like, understand what is the urge of mind. Urge of mind is there can be innumerable desires and plans are fabricated in the mind. Yes, so many desires are. A mind desires so many things. Thinking, feeling, willing. These are the three things of mind. These are the three activities of mind. So it is desiring something. Willing means what? It is desiring something. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, intoxication, envy arise in the mind and attract into sense objects. So these all things, these all desires, they arise in the mind and we are attracted to the sense objects. That those sense objects, they are actually not giving the enjoyment, but because you have that desire in your mind and you are thinking that, okay, I want this thing and I will get enjoyment from that material, from that substance, then we are getting satisfaction. So now, for example, in summer, if there is summer season, now the summer season going on in India. So in summer season, if you take hot bath, then will you feel good? If you on geyser and if you take hot bath, very hot water is there, and if you take bath of hot water, then will you feel good? No, you will not feel such enjoyment. But if you use that same hot water in cold season, in winter season, then that same hot water, you will feel good in winter season. So try to understand this substance, this object which you are using, they are not sources of enjoyment. They are directly not giving you pleasure. But the desire which you are having in your mind that, okay, in this season, cold water or hot water will give me sense enjoyment. So these are the desires in your mind through which you are experiencing satisfaction and distress. These are the desires, these are the urges of the mind. So these things which arise in your mind, and through that only you are attracted to sense objects. Okay. So now, since even in Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balabhadrada. Arjuna is telling, oh Lord Krishna, I feel that I cannot control mind, because controlling mind is like it's like very difficult. It's like controlling the waves of the wind. You cannot control the waves of the wind. Pramati balabhadra. It's so strong. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he tells that there are two types. There are two categories of mind's agitations. Mind is agitated always. Yes, mind is called chanchalam. It is always agitated. So Saraswati Thakur is categorizing. It is giving two categories of mind's agitations. The very first category of mind's agitation is avirodha priti, or unrestricted attachment. Unrestricted attachment. And the second category of mind's agitation is virodha yukta krodha, anger in frustration. Anger in frustration. Now we will try to understand this point. See. So, through the mind only, you are thinking, you are feeling, yes, you are feeling, and you are willing. You are having desires. So, mind's attachment and restlessness are seen in following things. Prabhupada is giving some examples. Prabhupada is telling, Jnani's adherence to Mayavadi philosophy. See, the mind object is what? For the Jnani, what is the object of mind's attachment? Jnani's adherence to Mayavadi philosophy. Jnanis are always telling, Neti, Neti, this is not, this is not, this is not. And they are doing so much mental speculations. And they are trying to establish. And because they are so much envious of Krishna's form. And they are trying to establish that there is Nirakar, only Brahman. There is no personal form. So they are so much attached to that Mayavadi philosophy. Prabhupada is telling, Jnani's adherence to Mayavadi philosophy is the example of mind's attachment or the urge of mind. It's the example of that. Second example is given, Karmi's belief in fruitive results. That the materialistic people, they are doing so many, some yagyas or some purificatory processes, and they are expecting results. They are expecting results from that yagya, or maybe doing some other activity. So they are having that attachment in that mind, that if I perform activity, if I perform that activity, then this much result I will get. They have that attachment that how much ever karma I do, I will get that result. So I am the enjoyer. They have this belief in fruitive results. So Prabhupada is giving this example of Karmi's belief in fruitive results as the example of the urge of mind. Then third is what? Materialist belief in plans based on material desires. The materialists, the Karmis, they are having so many plans, and they are having so much belief that these plans will be successful based on the material desires, because they want to increase the material happiness. So they want to increase the attachment, they want to increase the enjoyment which they derive from the material objects. And that's why they are spending so much time in developing plans. So this material's belief in plans based on material desires, this is another example of avirodha priti, or mind's agitation, mind's attachment. Now people may think, oh, I have attachment. Okay, so I will control this urge of mind by negating all thoughts. If I try to create vacuum in my mind, then all these thoughts, material thoughts will be curbed. I will be able to negate all material thoughts. So this is all what? This is artificial. So you cannot control the urge of mind by negating all material thoughts, because that root desire, because your mind is agitated always, even though for some time it may be helpful that you may try to negate all material thoughts, but for the long future it will not be. This is useless. What is the solution to control the mind? Mind control is possible only by thinking of Krishna and his service. If Krishna is compared to sun, is present in the mind, there is no possibility of minds being agitated by the influence of Maya, darkness. So in purport, Prabhupada is comparing Krishna as sun and Maya as darkness. So if sun is present, then there is absence of darkness. And if Krishna is absent, then there is presence of darkness. That's what. So if our mind is full of Krishna thoughts of Krishna, only we are thinking about Krishna and his service, then automatically whatever thoughts which are coming of material enjoyment, and our mind is agitated always. So that the mind is always chanchal or agitated. So we will be able to control the mind if we always think about Lord Krishna and his service. Because if we have Krishna in our mind, then we cannot have presence of Maya. Or Maya means what? the agitations of mind. So Maya only causes the agitations of mind. One second. Okay, Hare Krishna. So yes, meditating on Krishna's pastimes is not a form of mental agitation. Rather, it is the means by which all mental agitations becomes pacified. Now we will think, oh, we are thinking about Krishna. So again, mind is agitated. No, if we think about Krishna's pastimes, our mind becomes controlled. All the meditations, they are actually eradicated. So they become pacified. If we think about Krishna, then the urge of mind is controlled, is tolerated. When the mind is controlled, when one is devoid of thirst for material enjoyment, the urges of the eyes, ears, and other senses become pacified. So when we desire something in our mind, our senses work in that way. Whatever, because we develop desire in our mind, because that I want something. And in that way only, our senses are engaged. We develop, and our senses, the urges of senses, they actually come. So if our mind is controlled, then automatically all the senses become controlled. So that's why if we think about Krishna always, then all our activities we will do for the service of Krishna. This is the thing. Now Krodha Vegam. So problem is what? We cannot stop anger altogether. Krodha Vegam is what? The urge of anger. Everyone experiences when there is urge of anger, something it's not happening through your desire, or you are not liking something, then immediately that anger comes and one is not able to control it sometimes. So what is the solution? Control. We can control the urge of anger when we become angry with those who blaspheme the Lord or the devotees of the Lord. Definitely we cannot stop anger, but we can control our anger if we become angry to the blasphemers of Lord Krishna and the devotees of Lord. You can take examples, just as Hanuman in Lanka. Hanuman became so much angry. Yes, he spread fire all over the Lanka actually. Yes. So Hanuman expressed his anger by serving, by firing all over the Lanka. So Hanuman engaged his anger in the service of Lord Ram. Similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Jagai and Madha in Arjuna. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became angry. Why he became angry? Because Nityananda Prabhu was offended. Nityananda Prabhu was offended. So that's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry. And similarly, Arjuna was fighting. He became angry and he fought because dharma was becoming deteriorated. So that's why Arjuna fought. So this is the way we can control our anger. Now, one should be ready to tolerate all insults to one's own self. But when Krishna or his pure devotee is blasphemed, a genuine devotee becomes angry and acts like fire against the offender. So this should be our attitude. Definitely our anger cannot be, we cannot curb fully the anger, but we can engage this anger in the service of Lord. But one should tolerate amanena manadev. If anyone is insulting, then we should tolerate. But if Krishna's devotee, if Krishna himself is blasphemed, then we should become angry and act like fire. So this should be our attitude. And in this way only, we can control the urge of anger. Now, Anuvritti commentary of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. So he writes that Virodha Yukta Krodha. Anger is caused by frustration of material desires. When the Jnanis, Karmis, and materialists cannot fulfill their plans or desires, they become angry. Yes, anger is caused by frustration. If your desire is not fulfilled, then we become angry. Okay, so similarly, all these examples, whatever I have mentioned now, same. So Lord Chaitanya became angry with Jagai and Madhai. Hanuman set fire to Lanka to serve Ram, and Arjuna fought the Kurukshetra war to serve. Okay, so in this way only we can control the urge of anger. Now we will discuss the urges of body. What are they? Tongue, belly, and genitals. So Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jivva Vegam, Udaro Pastha Vegam. So these three bodily urges, demands of the tongue, belly, and genitals, they are physically, if you see, they are situated in one line. Okay. And if our tongue is controlled, then automatically our stomach is controlled and genitals are controlled. Yes, because they are situated in one line. So if our tongue is controlled, automatically the other senses become controlled. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he states in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he writes, one who runs here and there to gratify one's tongue's belly and genitals cannot attain Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is directly mentioning that one who is running after here and to gratify his own senses, to gratify one's tongue, belly, and genitals, he cannot attain Krishna. So the very first step, bodily demands begin with the tongue, which is the most voracious and uncontrollable of all the senses. Yes. Sharira avidyajal jodindriya taheka. Prabhupada quotes this shloka, which we chant every time before taking prasada. So bodily demands begin with the tongue, which is the most voracious and uncontrollable of all the senses. If the tongue can be restrained by eating only prasada, the urges of the belly and the genitals can automatically be controlled. Now, what are the things which agitate the tongue? 6 kinds of taste. Prabhupada is mentioning: sweet, sour, bitter, pungent, salty, and astringent. These are the 6 kinds of taste. And they can agitate the tongue and bring one under the control of its urges. So eating the following types of food only for the gratification of the tongue must be avoided. Prabhupada is giving these examples of dead bodies, meat, fish, crabs, eggs, and other things produced by semen and blood. Intoxicants, pan, hataka, betel nuts, pan, then tobacco, LSD, marijuana, hemp, opium, liquor, coffee, and tea. And then spices, use of extra spices like chili, tamarind, and even onion and garlic. Then how we can control tongue? If we take prasad, if we offer the only vegetables, grains, fruits, spinach, milk products, and water, if offered to Krishna, they must be eaten. In this way, our urge of tongue can be controlled if we honor prasada. And not that anything we can offer. Not that we offer meat to Krishna. We cannot offer meat to Krishna. Patram pushpam phalam tuyam. Yome bhakti aprecha. Okay. So only which is being prescribed in the Shastras. Vegetables, grains, fruits, spinach, milk products. This only can be offered to Krishna. And that must be taken. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is telling sometimes even prasada makes one fall prey to the demands of the tongue. If one eats too much prasada, only for its taste. Even if you are taking prasada, but if you are thinking, oh, it's so nice and and he's doing overeating, so then also he may fall prey to the urges or to the urge of tongue. Second is what? Offers tasty foods to the deity with an intention to eat nice food. So while preparing bhoga, he's thinking, oh, this is for my satisfaction. So now I'm just offering to the Lord for my satisfaction only. So this offering this food to Lord Krishna is like a ritual, and so that all the sins can be eradicated, so that I can eat nice food. So this should not be the attitude actually. Otherwise, again, he will fall prey to the urge of the tongue. And what is the third thing? Even if you take prasad, accepts invitations of rich men with the idea of receiving palatable. If there are some invitations are there of rich men, and if you are going, oh, very nice food I will get, a very palatable food I will get. With that intention also we should not go. We should go to that to his house with the intention that we are going to get the mercy of Krishna. Prasad is what? In Sanskrit, prasada means mercy. So if we offer these things to Lord, then we should consider it to be mercy. We should be grateful to the Lord that, oh Lord, you gave us these things so that we can maintain our body. So we should consider it to be the mercy of Lord, not to satisfy our own senses. Okay. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is cautioning us that even if you take prasada, does not mean that if you overeat or do these things, your senses are controlled. No, even if you take prasadam, but if your intentions are wrong, then also you will fall prey to this urge of tongue. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in Antarila it is mentioned, Lord Chaitanya is telling, do not dress luxuriously and do not eat delicious foods. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling that one should not dress luxuriously and one should not eat delicious foods. So maybe is telling so that our intention should not be wrong, but we should make delicious foods with the intention that Krishna will be satisfied. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is cautioning the conditioned souls. And whatever we are preparing, we should prepare with the intention that Krishna is the only enjoyer. And whatever we are taking is the mercy of Krishna. And another way to control the urge of tongue, is fasting. Eating more than necessary causes stomach diseases, Prabhupada is telling. So sometimes we should observe, so that's why we should observe fasting days like Ekadashi, Janmashtami. If we observe these fasting days, then this can restrain the demands of the belly. Okay. So in this way, the urge of belly can be controlled. So that's why we should sometimes fast. In that way, our urge of belly, the demands of the belly can be controlled. Now, how we can control the urge of genitals? Prabhupada is telling, urges of the genitals or 6 impulses can be legal or illicit, applicable to the householders and renunciants. Legal, marriage according to the Shastras, becoming a grihastha and using the genitals for begetting good progeny is legal. Illicit sex, not sanctioned by the scriptures, includes thinking, planning, talking about, actually having intercourse, or by satisfying the genitals by artificial means, by which one is caught in the clutches of Maya. So these are the agitations of genitals. It may be legal or it may be illicit. Now, how we can control this sex impulse? We can control the sex impulse only when not used unnecessarily, but only to beget a Krishna conscious child. And the children must be trained in bhakti. In this way, the urge of sex impulse, the sex impulse. So in this way, we can control the sex impulse. If we don't use our genitals unnecessarily, but only to beget a Krishna conscious child. And these children, they should be trained in bhakti. So these are the way we can control the urges of speech, mind, and the anger, and the demands of tongue, belly, and genitals. Renunciant should not listen or talk about worldly subjects, and should not think of women. Famous example is what? Caitanya Mahaprabhu's strictness with Chota Haridas. So Chota Haridas did suicide. Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so strict. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told you just end your body. So the Chota Haridas was a renunciant. One should not listen or talk about worldly subjects. Should not think of women. So this is the advice of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the renunciant. Now, at last, Srila Prabhupada is actually giving a conclusion or summarizing all the points, and is telling these 6 urges present various types of obstacles in the immature stages of a sadhaka's spiritual life. One can dispel them by exclusive Sharanagati, by avoiding the 10 offenses to Harinam, and doing Shravana and Kirtan in the association of sadhus. So in the immature stage or in the neophyte stage of a sadhaka's spiritual life, definitely these obstacles will come in the form of 6 urges. But we can dispel them. How? By exclusive Sharanagati. There are 6 ways through which there are 6 aspects in Sharanagati. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjana, rakshishyati vishwasaha, goptritve varnam, atmanikshepa karpanye, shad vidha Sharanagati. There are 6 processes of Sharanagati or surrenderance. Very first one is what? Anukulyasya sankalpa. We should follow, or we should take all those things which are favorable for bhakti, and we should avoid which are unfavorable for bhakti. The next verse, the second verse of Upadesamrita, talks about what are unfavorable for bhakti, and the third verse of Upadesamrita talks about what are the things which are favorable for the execution of bhakti. We will get into that. And what is the second thing? By avoiding the 10 offenses to Harinam. So the Dashanama Parada we should avoid. In this way, our 6 urges will be controlled. And doing Shravana and Kirtana in the association of sadhus. So at last, we have to do Shravana Kirtana in the Sadhu Sangha, in the association of sadhus. Then in this way, our 6 urges, we will be able to control them. Now, master of the senses, one who can control the overwhelming passions of speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals, is a Goswami or master of the senses and can instruct the world. So now, in conclusion, if you see, Prabhupada is mentioning how we have to control the 6 urges, and then he's telling one who has controlled the 6 urges, he is qualified to make disciples of it, or he can instruct the world. Servant of the senses, Dasa. There is a quote, actually 7530. In that it is mentioned, how can Krishna ever be manifest to a person whose heart is invaded by lamentation, anger, and other agitations? This is mentioned in Padma Purana. And one who can't control the 6 urges, but is controlled by them, is a Godas, servant of the senses, or Adantako. He cannot, the person who is Godasa or the servant of the senses, Krishna can never be manifested to that person. That's why in spiritual life, it's very important. Very initial step is what we have to control our senses and mind. And how this is possible? If we engage our senses and mind in the service of Krishna, in the association of devotees. If you follow this three things, the process of Sharanagati, and second point is by avoiding 10 offenses to Harinam, and the third is by doing Shravanam Kirtanam in the association of devotees. Then we can control the six urges. And when we can become Goswami, not Godasa. A servant of Krishna follows in the footsteps of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. So a person who wants to become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, a person who wants to become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, he has to follow in the footsteps of six Goswamis. Why do we call Goswami six Goswami? They are Goswamis, they have control all these six urges. They are pure devotees. So that's why a servant of Krishna who wants to become a pure devotee and who is in neophyte stage, he should follow in the footsteps of six Goswamis. Then only one can become Goswami. One can become a pure devotee in the association of pure devotee or guided by a pure devotee. Similarly, a person who wants to become a Goswami, he should follow in the footsteps of Goswamis. Goswamis, they are the highest pure devotees. They are the Manjaris in Golok Vrindavana. And they only know the intention of Lord Krishna, how Lord Krishna can be pleased, and how Lord Krishna can be achieved. And they are guiding our activities. That's why a person who wants to achieve the abode of Lord Krishna, he should follow in the footsteps of six Goswamis. They can only guide. Through their instructions, if we heed their instructions, if we follow their instructions, then we can attain Krishna. Otherwise, even though for thousands of years, you try so many things, but if you don't follow in the footsteps of six Goswamis of Vrindavan, if you don't take shelter of bona fide spiritual master, then for millions of years, if you strive to attain Krishna, you can never attain. Okay, so this is the purport of this verse. That's why Srila Prabhupada told that we are all what? Rupanugas. We are the followers of Rup Goswami. Rup Goswami is guiding the activities of a neophyte devotee. What are the favorable things for bhakti, for the execution of bhakti? What are the unfavorable things? And what are the six loving exchanges we should be there in the association of devotees? So these are some preliminary instructions given in Sri Upadesamrita. So this is in this way, Srila Prabhupada concludes this the purport of this first verse of Upadesamrita. Okay, so I would like to conclude here. If anybody has any question, they can ask now.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
I had requested if I can get slides because I don't have a laptop. I'm watching on mobile. Things are so small. Can't read. So if I get, if it is possible, then if you give us, then we can print and see it, you know.
Yes. Actually, yesterday I was traveling. So yesterday and day before yesterday also I was traveling. So that's why I couldn't send. So after this class, immediately I will send the notes for day 1, day 2, and day 3. Definitely.
Okay, sure. This is the 4th day today, right? Sir, yes.
Today is the 3rd day, I think. So. Day 3.
4th.
Today is 4th day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so no problem. I will send all those notes in the group. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So we'll conclude here by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna.
Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Hare.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami Pada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you very much for coming. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji Dhanwadhana.
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
I have a question not related to this.
Yes.
Got a message from ISKCON Desire Tree about the Bhakti Shastri course, which has your name on it. Is it your class?
Bhakti Shastri on ISKCON Desire Tree?
Yeah.
No, Mataji, I don't think so.
It's
My
your
name will
name.
be there.
So,
My
as
name
in the
is
teacher,
Caitanya
it's a
Jivana.
recorded course
Okay.
which says your name. Maybe there's another Prabhuji with your name.
Yeah, maybe there's another. My
Okay.
name, full name is Caitanya Jivan Das. I don't know if you have
That's-
seen same.
Yeah, I think it is the same. 1 minute, I will just recheck. I just wanted to know how, if it is yours, then no, this is Chaitanya Charan Das. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I
Chaitanya
just
Charan.
wanted to, yeah, okay. Sorry. No.
Okay. So,
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dhanwadhana.
thank you. Hare Krishna.